every week between now and November the 5th, we are going to take on one issue that will be on the ballot, either locally or statewide. This week, I want to start with an issue that Denver voters will be deciding upon, but it's something that could have statewide financial implications. The Common Sense Institute has released a report looking into the proposed Denver slaughterhouse ban. And the CSU's Regional Economic Development Institute has done its own research as well. A group that protects animal rights introduced on the ballot measure, a ballot measure which calls for getting rid of all slaughterhouses in Denver within 2 years from now. And Eric, if this were to pass, this would be the first ban of its kind in the entire country.
You wonder if the ballot is the right venue for making these decisions, whether it's about wildlife management in the case of wolves, or even if it's about slaughterhouses in the case of this particular ballot initiative. These are complicated issues. In this case, it's ultimately a land use issue. I think there's also elements of social justice involved. My supposition is it's likely to pass. I mean, this is Denver. It's an easy vote for Denver voters to cast. Somehow, unless we're going to get rid of meat in this country and lamb as well as beef, slaughterhouses are going to be somewhere. You know, it reeks of an attitude of, okay, not for me, but okay for thee. Not here in Denver, where we're all so refined, but move it outside of Denver and let other voters and other citizens of the state deal with it. And I don't know that that's all that becoming an attitude.
Yeah, and I feel like it's being pitched as this animal rights issue, but it's as much an environmental justice issue as well. And I think that's when we see the discussions around this, really where a lot of it is going to come down to. You know, and this isn't, you know, there's not like a bunch of slaughterhouses that are all going to get kicked out of the city and county. It's one slaughterhouse that processes lamb, and it's in the most polluted zip code in the entire country. And we have 3 years running of Clean Water Act violations where they're dumping toxins into the Platte River. And so we have this densely populated area, an area which has not seen, I think, some of the economic growth because of all of the industry and all of the pollution. And they've been yelling from the mountaintop about wanting some sort of fix. And we're not talking about the entire Denver metro area either. It's just the city and county. There's still room in Adams County, Centennial, Jefferson County. It could be moved into a less densely populated, less polluted, less under-resourced area at the end of the day.
Okay. All right, Laura.
Well, I think the claim about environmental justice does not stand in this particular case. Has the GES community been underserved, and is it the most polluted zip code in the country? 100%. But that is because of the smelter plant that was there, has been there for 120 years, not because of this particular rendering plant. So I feel this is an advocacy group going after one business that's employee owned, and it doesn't feel like it's a good use of government or government tools to legislate out one land use, one business. And I feel like that's what they are targeting. Should, Globeville, Elyria, Swansea also has 3 new CSU buildings that have been built there. The Cattle Exchange building is being redeveloped, and the city has committed and spent $900 million in infrastructure improvement. So to say that there are no resources going into that community, I think does not stand.
And I'm not saying there's no resources. It is still under-resourced, and I think as we've seen property values skyrocket in the city and county, the property values there I don't think have increased in commensurate levels, in large part because of the stench coming from that processing plant. And if you just look up, and it's publicly available, the EPA record, I think the fact, they are polluting, and they have been for the last 3 years. They've been out of compliance. They're actually, I think, in violation within the last 3 quarters. So I don't think that's consistent with what you can actually see and find online.
Patty, your thoughts?
Well, this is actually across the Platte from where the National Western is. And it's not Suncor, which I suppose people could say they want to go after, which is definitely a polluter. It's not Purina, which is the bigger smell. It is this employee-owned slaughterhouse, the only one in the city, which is not so much in a residential area. It's more in a warehouse area. It is owned by employees. there's no excuse for not behaving and following the laws correctly. So you would hope they follow the agenda, but is it Denver voters' job to vote down one business? At that point, you might as well just go say, Cherry Cricket charges too much for their hamburgers and we're going to vote them out of Denver. I think we really need to study this one closely and not just think it's sweet little lambs or it's jobs by a company-owned place. I heard the owner, or the CEO, not the owner, because it is employee-owned, talk about what this will mean to the people who will lose their jobs. And it's very moving. It's also moving if you see pictures of little lambs. So it's one everyone in Denver should research.
All right. Thank you for your insight, everybody. Thank you for watching this ballot discussion. The Colorado Inside Out team will tackle one measure every week right up until Election Day. Don't miss an episode so that you are all set to vote on or before November 5th.